Hey folks, welcome to Tim's Offgrid. All right, we're going to design a wall for an 8x8 shed. And first thing we're going to do, we got our top plate. Let's mark our top plate for our 16-inch on centers. And I've kind of laid the boards out where I think they'll go, but now we're going to mark them. So I'm doing all my walls 16 on center. You could do 24 on center. I think it's really up to what you want to do. Let me turn around a little bit so I'm facing y'all. But I feel like I'm doing it backwards now. So let me move back to my regular way and I can move way faster because I want to see how quickly we can put this together. All right, so we're going to move from this side over, screwing everything in. I'm going to put 2 screws in each one of these. And I'm going to have my square to make sure that we're staying squared up as we fasten these on. All right, so without further ado. That's nice and square right there. When you put that first one on, just double check that you're still square. And I had to adjust it slightly before I put the second one in there. And I know there's still a lot of wiggle room and play in it because the bottom's not attached. But I still like to make sure everything stays pretty squared away. No pun intended. As we're going from stud to stud, because that'll surely help me as things go on. There we go. You want to pay real good attention when we put the bottom one on. Now, the other one you want to pay attention to is that we're squared away vertically, especially when we put the bottom on. All right, right now we're still pretty good. And this will help us to move faster when we get down there. Now, if you mess up the first 16 on the center, all the rest will follow. So just remember that. Also pay attention to where you're working. If this asphalt is not level, and remember, it's going to drain away from the house. So that's why we're going this way now. I was building going this way. It was throwing off a lot of my measurements because we're sloping this way. The moment I start to strip, I really mess up some of these screws. Having good bits is important. All right, that's pretty good right there. All right, see how I had to rotate that one to get it good on the vertical. It'll be harder to do once you have these things screwed in, trust me. And the less rework you have, the better. Looks very good. You'll see over on the end, I got 2 boards because that's going to be my end when I build the front piece. You have 1 2x4 to go on the double 2x4s on that end, and 1 over here to go on that end. So these are doubles. It's single over there because I already got double on the back wall, and you'll see that when we get over there in a moment. All right, we're going to do the first 2x4 and then the second on the end because we know exactly where this 2x4 goes. All right, we got that one in, and let's make sure it's still squared up really well. And there we go. Got it squared away. And like I said, this rolls pretty quickly once you get started. What's important is marking out all your 16-inch on centers, and then coming at one end of the board and putting all the screws in, and then coming to the other end of the board and getting them all in. This one over here on the end, we're going to put a few screws in it to hold these 2 together. Now put one on this end, and then I'm going to go down to the other end because I want to make sure they're flushed up over here. All right, and I put these about a foot apart, and I'm just doing a zigzag pattern. Everybody's got their own means and methods, remember that. I am, building a shed. Not building a house, just keep that in mind. And one more, and then we're going to put the bottom plate. All right, so we need our tape measure again, our square, our screws. We're going to start from this side again. And we are going to go 16-inch on center. We can go ahead and get this one put into place. You don't really have a choice. This is where this one's going to go regardless. And it should be squared away. Yep. We're going to need to try to rotate it just a little bit. Because that board's just a little twisted. If you had a big pair of channel locks or something like that, that could really help you rotate the board. All right, so I'm going to get the screw ready. And then I'm going to try to screw that up right there. There we go. That ain't perfect, but that board had a bow in it that I tried to pull it most of the way out. All right, I'm going to run down here and mark our 16 on centers again. And then we'll true up all the boards to 16 on center as we come down. You'll see some of these boards really have some bows. Like this board is really bowed right there. We're going to do the best we can with them. Try to pull the bows out, etc. All right, and again, we're going to come over. We're going to find our 16 on center, and we're going to look at where we are. So we are being thrown off some, and I think that a lot of that is with these bow boards. One thing, there we go. One thing I was thinking was move that back, so that trued that up and trued this up really good too. All right, so don't screw that end in before you do this, because usually dragging this over here, you'll get everything squared back up. So just remember, you're still checking for square when you come back here. Just because you got that in and everything looking good and looking square doesn't mean it's right on the bottom. And mine was a good example. It was not squared away. No pun intended. All right, now that should lock us in, and it does, to where all the rest of these should be square just like the top. I'm just going to try to back that up just a little bit. There you go. So I could show, and you could see, but that one I might can do something with. There we go. It's still square. It's just bowed a bit. I might can do something with it once I get the top screwed in. Yep. So if you had a pair of channel locks, you can easily grab it with channel locks and twist it. I just don't have all my stuff with me. I keep leaving a lot of my tools in West Virginia, unfortunately. Still square, but just a little bit bowed. And we're on the last 6 screws. Still square. And just a little bit off here. All of these ended up being just a little bit bowed. It's just the way it is sometimes. All right, these last ones here, there's no other place that they go than right there on the end, so that's easy. So 4 screws right here on the end. And that is all she wrote. We stand this up and put it in place. We're going to check the video and see where we're at as soon as I put these 4 in, so we can see how quickly we did this by ourselves. And I don't think I wasted too much time. And then we'll come back and I'll film putting it in place. Booyah. There we have it, 16 minutes even. All right, although we got done in 16 minutes, I didn't put the cap plate on, so we still need to do that, which is relatively easy because I just need to line it up over here on this end and then make sure it's flush over here. And I put 1 screw in. And then I go to the opposite end and I do the same. And then I can start working my way back from the opposite end. And the reason I'm doing this is, what if we're on an uneven surface and everything's not as flush as what you think it is, etc. All right, so when I do these, I usually come in between each one of these joists. Studs. With 2 screws, just in between each one of the joist studs. After we're done with this, we're going to go ahead and stand it up and put it right into place. Then all we have left is to finish the framing of basically the wall, framing out the front. Front's going to get complicated because I'm going to want to frame 2 windows and a door. Or a window and a door. I'm thinking 2 windows. The shed will have 2 windows. All right, what'll make this thing easier when we stand it up is to go ahead and start a few screws. So we're going to put a few screws in the bottom, and that's going to make it easier to get this ready to stand up. So look, we still built this thing in less than 20 minutes. So that's not bad. So I'm going to put that right here while we start a few of these screws. And then we're going to walk it over there. And stand it up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take our screws and position those and the drill. We're going to move the camera to get it in a better spot. All right, I'm going to stand up that wall, and then we're going to head that direction. Oops. You know, I'm going to stay on this side of it as we come up here. I'm missing my gloves right about now because I'm getting splinters in my hand. And this is the moment of truth when you come back here and you look at how flush your wall is, and you know you got it square. When things look really good as it lines up on that back wall like we have it here. All right, that's not bad at all. So, I'm working on getting things lined up here on the edge, and then we'll also get it squared away over there. So let me work over there first, because if I am not flush back there, then we are doing rework again. Yep, that looks good. So what I'll do is there we go. So I'm working to get flush on the outside, and then to check that we're squared away over here. So I need the level. And meanwhile, I'm going to start one of our first screws over here. So, yep, that's pretty square right here. So let me hold that in place. Easier to do if you had a second person, of course. And then up here we'll come in a little bit. Yep. And I don't like where that is. It's overhanging us a little bit. But it was hard to know that was taking place because we were back there. That's much better. We're going to tack on a couple more screws up here, make sure we stay in our 90. So let me get one started right about here. Yep, I just wanted to check that I was right. So, as long as we're flush on the outside where we should be, we've got the right angle in terms of being 90 degrees. All right, now we can come down the side and tack all these in. Starting over here, I want to pull this one out and make sure it's on the edge before I put it in. All right, that'll be good for the rest of them. And then, of course, you got to come back over here and double check the edge. So that bottom board has a bit of a bow in it, and it throws us out some over there. So let me back that out just a little bit. And we'll come back to this one because I want to put this one in while we're not bowed out. Oh, man. Okay, that's way better. And then what I may have to do is work on these incrementally and see if I can get that bow out by the time I get down there. Let me see what I can do with that. Yes. Oh, man. Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to put another one in here where it's still holding pretty good. Ow. Yep. All right, so when you got one of these bowed, just incrementally work on it. Got it. Right. We'll finish up with putting the remainder of our screws in here. We're going to put everywhere we put a screw, we're going to have 2 screws screwing into the studs at the end. What was easy is I haven't had to cut any 2x4s except the cripples, the header and the sill. These were your true 8-foot 2x4 for the bottom plate, the two top plates. These were your 92 and 5/8. Everything on the sides is 92 and 5/8, and it ends exactly where you want it to end over there. So that made it super easy. When I build this front wall, we'll have to deduct the 3.5 to 3.5, 7 inches off all those. And I'll grab the ladder for the last 2 screws in this. Right, looking fantastic. So I did buy nails, and as the screws don't have any shear strength, so you want to make sure you have nails in here also, so you have shear strength. So I was going to drive nails in between these screws all the way around the base, right? And let's make sure we are surely solid. And I don't have my nailer. It is at camp in West Virginia. Now, I'm only on this outside edge as the base of the platform is only on the outside. So if I'm screwing on the other end of the 2x4 over here versus closer to me, then I'm only screwing into, or nailing or screwing into OSB, versus out here on the edge, I get both. All right, you get the drift. I will have to go across the back and down that side, nailing everything. I'm going to put some nails in here as well. But as you can see, everything's tied in pretty well. And the reason why this one side Doesn't move as much as I still have it braced on the side. All right. But once we have the front on, that'll tie it all in very well. And yeah, that's about it. So, hope you enjoyed this. And I'll have another video on how I do the front.